We got some news to get into, boys. More 12.1 content dropping. Interesting penalties coming to players who don't take their cues when they pop. Also, a few other things from Ian talking about revamping the world once again, naming specific zones that Blizzard is looking at revamping, and a few other things to get into. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight in. First of all, more shit dropping today, and with that, we're getting an extended maintenance, 4-hour maintenance today. So if you're watching this, you're probably watching it during the maintenance time, because yes, there is an extended maintenance period today of 4 hours. 8 hours actually for the Classic Andes. I don't know what's dropping in Classic today. I haven't been keeping up with the news, but they got an 8-hour maintenance today. Things that have happened this week, and some things that are going down today. For PvP, the Rune of the Lingering Damage, overtime damage no longer interrupts flag captures in PvP. Also, some quick fixes for bugs, preventing quest items in the from dropping in the Myasara Caverns on Mythic difficulty. I guess things weren't dropping for people. Grand Magister Romath is providing a portal. If you don't know this already, this was one of the hotfixes this week from Magister's Terrace. Now, or to take you to Magister's Terrace. Now this is active, if you didn't know, for your Omnium Folio weekly quest. The Omnium Folio shit's done, so if anyone still has quests to do, you can quickly catch up and just stack up those quests and get them done. And don't forget, that thing is carrying out through the rest of midnight, so you're still going to want to do it. And then finally, the Light Hook Grapple will now only appear as an extra action button for player characters who are in Najatal. I guess it was appearing for people outside of the zone too as well. That's kind of weird. Moving on. We got item level increases for Season 2, guys. We know that just the other day, Blizzard actually increased the item level another 7 item levels. So cap item level for next season, we're going to see a 46 item level jump from this season's cap to next season. That's a little bit bigger than usual. That's what she said, right? So this season cap is going to be a little bit higher, partially because of what Blizzard's doing with the +2, the extra item level given to the final 2 bosses on Mythic Raid. Again, Mythic Raid, only the last 2 bosses are going to be dropping slightly higher gear, item level gear, than anything else in the game. Yes, I know Mythic Plus players get their panties all in a bunch and shoved in their own mouths as they, pleasure themselves about this. They're very angry. But at the end of the day, I mean, Mythic Raiding really is the hardest content in the game, and I think it's okay if there's a slight item level bump for 2 items dropping off the last 2 bosses. We'll see what those loot tables end up looking like. Also, don't forget, next season, when you do Heroic Raid, your vault will provide you with Myth Track gear. That's right. So this is a whole new thing when it comes to raiding. Blizzard really looking to buff the raiding scene when it comes to gearing, which I think was necessary, because if you had somebody who was running Mythic Plus, +10, they were out-gearing Heroic Raiders by a mile from their vault, from everything that drops. I mean, it was just so much easier, and Mythic +10s are by far and away much easier than doing Heroic Raid. That's just, I don't think that's just my opinion. I think a lot of people know that and believe that. It's just easier to get a good group of 5 players than it is to get a good group of, say, 15 or 20 players. So, looking at this right now, again, that's kind of one of the changes here that you notice. Heroic Raids giving you Myth Track gear, obviously Normal giving you Heroic, and so on. It keeps going up from there. Also, Ascendant Void Cores returning, so you're still going to see that item level increase, although not right off the bat. These are not available to later in the season, so we'll see Ascendant Void Cores pumping up item levels as well. Across the board, this is a nice chart to look at if you want to check this thing out. It talks about everything from crafting, where you're going to get stuff, every great vault coming. I mean, the Prey Hunt system, we see Champion Gear and Nightmare giving you some... what's it called? Great Vault gear as well on Heroic Track, so that's really good. I'll link this in the chat and down below if you want to check out this chart and see where all the gear is coming from, where all the item level bumps are, and everything else. And then moving on to this one right here, because this is an interesting one that Blizzard kind of dropped behind the scenes. They didn't really mention anything about, but people recently picked up on it from the Q&A. So in Questions with Ian Hazakostas, they got into a little bit of queue times and everything else. And Ian talked about something that Blizzard is looking at doing. As an effort to make queues smoother, they are introducing a new debuff for players who miss their queues in 12.1. That's right. You ever hear, the horn go off and the queue pop up on your screen and everyone accepts, and you got one DPSer, or God forbid, the tanker, the healer doesn't accept, and then you sit there with it just waiting for that check mark to hit and never hits, and then you're back in the queue again? Well, that's going to cause a penalty from now on. So basically, if you miss that queue, you're going to get a 1-minute debuff before you can requeue once again. This is an account-wide debuff. You cannot log into another character and requeue to avoid this debuff. This is account-wide, stopping you from requeuing for a minute, and then it stacks as well. So if you miss another one after that, it's going to increase the time even more, not just by a minute, but it scales. So don't miss those queues anymore. If you queue up, make sure you're sitting at your computer. Don't be sitting there gooning around, taking off your headphones and everything, and then you forget to, accept the queue when it finally pops. So yeah, penalties for those of you not getting the queue. Also, I will never stop taking stolen content. Get out of here with that shit. Blizzard confirms WoW's Collector's Bounty and Remix events will return as well. Yes, in the interview, Ian did talk about items and how much he loves seeing players chasing items in the game, collecting items, whether it be gear, mounts, or anything else. And they talked about the success of the Collector's Bounty event and the Remix events. So yes, he did say Collector's Bounty will be returning. If you don't know what this was, it was an event that took place back in July of last year, basically increasing the drop rate of some of the most favorable mounts in the game. I mean, we're talking about Invincible, we're talking about Midnight. Basically, running these things during the Collector's Bounty event, you had a better chance and a higher chance of that thing dropping, especially the more you did it. So this event is coming back. No announcement yet of when that's going to happen. Also, a Remix event returning. We had Pandaria, we had Legion. What's coming next? Could it be Wrath? I don't know. As we head into, The Last Titan, we know we're going back to Northrend. Maybe we get a Wrath remix. Who knows? But we're definitely going to get another remix event. Blizzard liked how that whole thing went. They appreciated a lot player feedback on it, and they saw that the player base in general liked it a lot. As far as legacy content goes, Blizzard wants to make sure that there's a sense of completion when it comes to collecting things in older content, and they don't want to try to force players to go back to old content to collect everything. Ian added that there are some pieces of older content without housing decor, so they want to go back and eventually sprinkle in some housing items for all the housing andes and older content as well. So we'll see, making old stuff relevant again. There is a common theme here with that we're going to see with some of this other stuff here in the future, and some of the things I'm going to get into. But definitely more remix, more Collector's Bounty. I think that's a great thing. Also a great thing, I guess, for more player housing related shit. The Tortolans are coming to town. That's right. The Tortolans are coming for the first time ever in Endeavors. If you don't know what these are, there's a neighborhood Endeavors. You select one every month. And yes, the Tortolan are a brand new one coming in 12.1. And they're going to be giving a bunch of ocean-style decor items. So anyone who's interested in ocean-style decor items, I'm talking about shells and nets and all kinds of shit. Yep, you'll be able to get some of that for your player housing if they select the Tortolan Endeavor, which is going to be probably most selected because that's kind of the new one going forward. Interesting. Even more interesting, I should say, than anything else that I really heard from Ian Hazacostas recently. It was the zone revamps that Blizzard's discussing, because Ian actually attached real zones. So if you've been playing through Midnight, you've been seeing all the new zones, right? Everything that's coming, everything that came with Midnight is a revamp of old zones. We've seen all the Amani lands revamped, Silver Moon, Silver Pine Forest, everything that's kind of changed up. And Blizzard actually considered this expansion to be a major success. Ian talked about how he was very much worried that player feedback on this expansion would be that this is just a bunch of rehashed content and we wanted something new. Lazy Blizzard once again. That was a direct quote from Ian Hazacostas. But he said the feedback they've gotten so far from this expansion is very much the opposite. Players loved going back to the old zones. They love what Blizzard did with them. And so this has led Blizzard to rethink how they do expansions going forward. He said that going forward, they want expansions to not just be old zones, maybe, but a mix of new and old. Something new popping up on the horizon, but at the same time, a reason to go back to old zones. And when you do go back to those old zones, they're completely revamped in the Midnight style of revamping zones, which to me is the perfect mix. Now, we do know that obviously Northrend coming in the Last Titan, that is for sure already confirmed. We know that's coming. But some other zones that Ian mentioned in this interview was Silver Moon. Obviously, we've already had that. Northrend, Stormwind, Orgrimmar, Westfall, and the Barrens. Oh my God, Westfall revamp. Could you imagine all those autumn leaves and those rolling golden hills revamped in new graphics? I would love to see it. So yes, these are zones that he directly mentioned. He said whether it's Silvermoon, Northrend, Stormwind, Orgrimmar, Westfall, or the Barrens, there are other places that we can, these are places that we can never go again because we've already told stories there, but they're iconic and they would love to redo them, add new stories, and give us new reasons to go to these zones. I think this would be great. I love what they did in Midnight. And I think this is exactly what they need to do with some of these older zones. I would love to see this. Moving on finally to our wrap-up of the news today, and wrap up really of Mythic Plus and everything else as this season winds to an end. Kind of looking at the numbers, where everyone's currently standing, checking out the health of this season. Blue line, once again, is Midnight Season 1, sitting right in the middle kind of the War Within and everything else. We did see a dip recently since Time Walking came out, right? People are spending more time in Time Walking, less maybe in Mythic Plus, as they try to get the Viranoth mount and everything else. But overall, this season's been pretty healthy. Shadows, thank you for the Prime, man. I appreciate that. Death Knight of our Scourge. Basically, we're looking at now, we have now passed 40 million total runs. That's insane. I can't believe freaking that many people are playing. And we can actually get into how many people are doing Mythic Plus here in a second. But that metric also includes the full metric from China, so that's including them as well. Looking overall, there's not much change in terms of popularity of dungeons. Pit of Sauron continues to be the most popular. Myasar, the least popular. Looking at the numbers, we continue to see people trying to push for that top 1% and even 0.1% achievement as we head into the final weeks of this season, right? Plus 25 continues to be the highest key that anyone has completed. 10 runs in total have been completed. Only 16 have even been attempted at a plus 25. Everyone continuing to push. We're also seeing an influx of alts coming in at the very end of the season. That's expected as people prepare whatever their next main is going to be for the next season, doing 10s and 12s on those. So we're seeing more alt stuff happening here at the end of the season. As I said before, 42 million runs have now been completed. 4.5 million individual active characters. That's a lot of players. I mean, for a dead game, as many people say in the comments in a lot of my YouTube videos, dead game is like a mandatory comment. I don't know who watches WoW content and hates WoW at the same time. It's kind of, it's like, I don't know, it's self-torture. You're just punching yourself in the nuts, but people do it. And evidently a dead game has 4.5 million active people playing one piece of content. Mind you, this is only active players playing Mythic Plus. We know a lot of people don't do Mythic Plus, but there you go, 4.5 million so far running Mythic Plus dungeons this season. That is absolutely crazy. Finally, the meta, really to close out the season, Guardian Druid really took over, and I'm not going to get too much into all the numbers because we've talked a lot about these numbers. Some of the most popular classes in the game right now: Guardian Druid, Retribution Paladin, Beast Mastery Hunter, Unholy DK, Resto Shaman. You'll see these kind of fit the meta right now. These are the most played, most run classes in the game right now and specs in the game when it comes to Mythic Plus. The overall meta, yeah, no surprise here. We're seeing Guardian Druid, Mistweaver Monk, Unholy DK, Devour Demon Hunter, and Augmentation Evoker, and look at the difference. Look at the difference. There's like a almost 30% difference between the amount of people running this meta versus all other metas. It's absolutely crazy. The only difference between this one and the other is we add in Retribution Paladin and Resto Shaman versus having Augmentation Evoker and Mistweaver Monk. But overall, the meta has really metaed the shit out of itself, so to say, for the final part of this season. Now, we do know this is obviously changing going into the next season. No longer are your big boy Guardian Druids going to be the best tank. It looks like kind of Protection Paladin's going to be your best tank going forward in next season. But we'll see. There's still more iterations to happen there. But yeah, the meta definitely metaing lately. And looking back at all this, I think it was a successful season. Good stuff, nice things coming out of it. I think overall the balance was good. We'll see. There's some worries about next season, but we'll see what happens there. For today, that is all in terms of news.